Hello and welcome to my channel Close to the Edge. My name is Pat. We talk about all things prog rock, classic rock, heavy rock, and just maybe a stick of rock. Stick around, you never know. Welcome to my channel. If you're new to the channel, hope you enjoy it, and welcome back all my subscribers and viewers. Really do appreciate it having you along. Today's video, I'm moving on in my little series of the 70s. We're doing the year 1974. Imagine, 51 years ago. Hard to believe. Very hard to believe. I would have been 10 in 1974. So I wouldn't have had a clue about any of these. Wouldn't have had a clue. Anyway, the videos are doing very well, and I hope you enjoyed the last one with Dermot, and we did the 1980s prog. Just a little video to interrupt this, but we're back now. So I'm going to start off, and the way I do this is 10 must-have albums from 1974. Sometimes I maybe go over a little bit, you never know. But I list them as they were brought out in that particular year. So without further ado, let's crack on with it. So the first album I have here that's in my collection, all these albums are in my collection, obviously, so I won't be able to show them, would I? Is from my favourite band, Deep Purple. Burn, released on the 15th of February. What a brilliant album. And this was a change of lineup because Ian Gillan and Roger Glover had left or were pushed, all depends which way you look at it. And they brought in an unknown, David Coverdale from Redcar in the north of England. And they brought in Glenn Hughes on bass, who used to be with Trapeze. And different sound, but an absolute brilliant album. You have Mistreated on this. You know, absolutely stellar track. Stellar. And this was a different, as I said, different than Mark II, because the previous album to this was Who Do You Think We Are, which was a disappointment in many respects in comparison to the previous three studio albums. So this one is a must-have. And I presume most people watching this have this in their collection. Unbelievable. That's Burn, my first one. Next one up, released, and I have it written down here, on the 1st of March, is from the brilliant progressive rock band, Camel. That's their second studio album, Mirage. Now, I think this is absolutely sublime album. Brilliant progressive rock. They were different than a lot of the other progressive rock bands at the time. Slower pace, you know, but this is just, you know, Andy Latimer on this. Absolutely stellar. That's a must-have. If you haven't heard this album, I would highly recommend you go out and check it out. Because if you do like prog rock like I do, you'll definitely like this. Okay? That's that one. Next up, and this is number 8, released on March the 22nd, from the absolute, I keep saying it, repeating myself, genius, the genius of rock music. And it's Frank Zappa, and the album is Apostrophe. Watch out where the Huskies go, don't you eat that yellow snow. Absolutely amazing album. Just short enough album. And of course, on the title track on this, Apostrophe, you have Jack Bruce, who does bass guitar. But you have Stinkfoot on this, on with Roasts. Absolutely. It's just one of those Frank Zappa albums where you can put it on, even if you're not in the humour for Frank Zappa. Because some of his albums you really do have to be in the humour for, and I love Frank Zappa. But if I was introducing anyone to Frank Zappa for the first time, they never heard any Frank Zappa, this is the album I would introduce them with. Because if you don't like this one, well, then you won't like the rest of them. That's the way I look at it. Anyway, that's the genius. Next up, from the Dutch band, the brilliant Dutch progressive rock band, Focus. And I think this album coming up here is a must-have in anybody's collection. Hamburger Concerto from Focus. I think this is their best. I really do. This is just an amazing, amazing progressive rock album. It's from start to finish. The minute you put the needle down, the minute you take it up on side 2, this will blow your boat, because it blowed my boat, I can tell you that. I think this was their high point. This was after Focus 3. And there's not much now between this and Moving Waves, but I just think this is just a little bit better than Moving Waves. And incredible. Haven't heard it? Go and listen to it. Production on this is one of their best. Production is stellar on this. Stellar. Amazing album. Amazing album. Next up, the debut album from a brilliant English band, formed probably out of the splinters of Free. And you had the guitarist from Mott the Hoople, who sadly passed away there not so long ago. And may he rest in peace. The brilliant debut album by Bad Company. I did a video on this album in particular. You can go and check that out. But this is just, what an album. Just from start to finish. And you have the ending track on this, Seagull. It's one of those tracks that kind of tears at you. You know? Does tear at you. It's absolutely incredible. And I presume most people have this album in their collection. But if you haven't, go and check it out. Absolutely amazing. That's Bad Company. Brilliant. The brilliant band. Next, released on the 1st of August. Oh, by the way, the Bad Company was the 24th of May. Like, I missed that one. 24th of May. Moving on to the 1st of August. And we're talking about a Canadian band. Now, a Canadian band that not a lot of people are into, and some people love them. I think you're either on one side or the other side. But this album by Bachman Turner Overdrive, Not Fragile. To me, it's their best album. And the opening track, Not Fragile. Doom, 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 doom. It's just so heavy and rocky. It's one of those feel-good albums. This album. I was talking to Kevin earlier on about this album. And he agrees with me. Like, it's one of those feel-good rock albums that you put on from start to finish. And it just makes you feel good. And I think this, if you think these bands are a bit poppy or a bit too mainstream or whatever, go and check out that. I love the kind of pun with this Not Fragile, because it's not fragile. As in Fragile by Yes, a few years earlier. But brilliant, nonetheless. Absolutely superb album. Now, we're moving on to the next one. When was this released? September the 21st. The very underrated English progressive rock band, even though 3 of the members originally are from Scotland. Don't forget that. And they moved down to the south of England then. Later on. I'm talking about Gentle Giant. And this is my favourite album by Gentle Giant, The Power and the Glory. I think this is killer from start to finish. Kicks off with Proclamation. Now, you can't get any better than that, honestly. And I know a lot of people find it hard to get into Gentle Giant. So I found it hard myself. Starting off with Gentle Giant, it took me years to get into him, very difficult. But once the penny drops with Gentle Giant, you're hooked. You're actually hooked. You're drawn in to the complexity of their music, the absolutely sublime playing on every album. And they're not long albums. You know what I mean? They didn't do epic tracks either. One of the few prog bands that didn't do these long tracks. But this one, if you haven't heard it, please go and check it out. And it will be in your collection after you hear it. Trust me on that one. Now, we're moving on to the last few here now. And this one released on the 6th of October. Now, I could have picked they had 2 albums out that year. They had Starless, King Crimson I'm talking about. Now, I love Starless. I think it's an amazing album. I just think, looking back on it now, I think Red is just a shade better. And a must-have. album in your collection. Now, I used to have this on LP. I wish I did have it on LP. I'd love to have it on LP. We'll get it one day. But there's nothing wrong with this CD. Brilliant sound off it. And you have the track on this. It's just Starless is on this, isn't it? The last track. Absolutely an amazing, amazing album. And this was their last album, studio album, in the 70s. They came back with Discipline in 1981. But, you know, you had the late John Wetton, Bill Bruford, and of course Bob Fripp. I presume most people who are into progressive rock will have this album in their collection, but if you don't, please go and check it out. Now, I think we're down to number 2 now. This album, I couldn't find out exactly what date in November this album. I checked the internet, and it just says November 1974. And if someone could please actually, who were around at the time or were into the music at the time, when this exactly came out. Wishbone Ash, There's the Rub. What an amazing, amazing album. Bill Szymczyk produced this album, who was famous for producing the Eagles. And of course, this is the first album with Laurie Wisefield after taking over from Ted Turner. And they blew it out of the park. They really did. And you have the instrumental track, the last track on the album FUBB, which is an acronym for Fucked Up Beyond Belief. Of course, I think a lot of people would know that anyway. But this is incredible. You have Persephone on this as well. You know, it's just, if you haven't heard this album, please go out and get it. If you can get it on LP, it sounds better on LP and CD, because I have it on CD. And the CD is a little bit raw. I have to say it much better on LP. Now, this is a reissue. I think it is. You see, it's on that color, that MCA label. I think it was originally brought out on the darker one, which Kevin has, and it sounds better than this one, to be quite honest with you. But this is not bad. Not bad. Amazing album. Right, we're down to number 1. Now, like my last video, I couldn't split the... I'm not ranking these, which is better, but there's two. I have 2 albums here, released within a week of each other. One on the 22nd of November, the other one on the 29th of November. And I have to put them in. I know it's 11. I know I say 10 in the description, but I have to do it. Peter Gabriel's last album with Genesis, The Lamb, lies down on Broadway. What can you say about this album? Really and truthfully, what can you say? Now, I know a lot of people say side 1 and 2 are killer. Side 3 and 4 was a bit rushed, but I love the whole 4 sides. And I love the story. You know, it's all about Broadway and New York and that kind of stuff. I never really get the story, like, you know what I mean? I know some people do. But I think, and I do, the lyrics are a little bit, you know, tough to understand. But other than that, this is an amazing album. And unfortunately, Peter Gabriel left after this album. And people thought they were finished when he left, but they weren't. Phil Collins took over the singing. And the rest is history, as they say. Right, so the last one, released, as I said, on the 29th of November, is the brilliant, the utterly amazing Relayer by Yes. Rick Wakeman had left after Topographic Oceans because he had enough of it. And they brought in the Swiss keyboard, Patrick Moraz. And this album is amazing. It's really jazz fusion, proggy, that kind of stuff. Of course, you have the Gates of Delirium on this, which is incredible. It's incredible on Yes shows, on the live one that brought out in 1980. But you have Sound Chaser on this as well. If you haven't heard this album, it's a brilliant Roger Dean cover. Of course, the next time they were to do a Roger Dean cover, they didn't do it in the next 2 albums. It was on Drama in 1980. But this is absolutely amazing. Anyway, that's my list. It'll be interesting in the comments to see what you have in your collection, and that there must-have albums that I should maybe look into that I don't have. And I do have 2 honourable mentions, actually. It's Blue Icicle's Secret Treaties. When was that released? April the 5th. Could have got in. And Floating by Eli, another brilliant album. When was that one released? 11th of October. They could have easily got in. And of course, there's more. I have a good few more. And as I said, it'd be interesting to see what your picks would be. And I'm after getting a lot of recommendations on these videos. Some I like, some I don't. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. I really do. And thanks very much for everyone for watching. Subscription rate has gone up. Viewing rate has gone up. Everything is doing excellent on the channel. And touch wood, as they say, it keeps going like that. And I couldn't do this without the whole lot of you watching and commenting, because it really makes it worthwhile. So, and if you're new, if you just happen to come across this channel, you see this mad Irishman here talking about this, that and the other. And if you like what you see, subscribe and hit that like button and all that kind of stuff. Of course, if you don't like it, you won't subscribe. And there's not a whole lot I can do about that. But anyway, it's nice to be nice. One of the most important things is nice to be nice. And stay safe. Whatever you're doing, stay safe. And until the next time here on Close to the Edge, from me, Pat, whatever you're doing, do it well. Bye-bye.